This live stream may contain content that could be perceived as shocking or offensive, but it is presented solely for educational purposes. Viewer discretion is advised. We strive to adhere to community guidelines, and any potentially sensitive material is shared with the intent of fostering understanding and learning.
Oh, what's going on, peeps? It's your boy, Atypical Security Guard. I want to welcome you to today's live stream. I just got out of the gym. For those of you who don't know, I got hurt during my last jiu-jitsu class, which was last Thursday. Separated my shoulder. I had a sprained knee the week before, so it was like back-to-back 2 injuries. I've been super frustrated, but I got in the gym, got my cardio up. You know, I'm working out. I'm going to practice tonight. We're going to make it do what it do. It is what it is. So the reason why I wanted to come on today is I have put up a question in the community tab, and I asked, you know, where are you guys in terms of your situation with private security as we get into the last couple of months of 2024? We're approaching the last quarter. You know, we're almost through with the year. And I had asked at the beginning of the year, like, what people were thinking about when it came to security. Were you looking to stay in security? Were you looking to maybe move into a management role? Were any of you going to start your own companies? How many of you guys were thinking about moving into law enforcement? And it was kind of split, you know, across the board. A lot of people were looking to just continue doing what they were doing. There were some of you who were looking to start your own thing, you know, move into your own business endeavors. And there was an equal number of people that were looking to go into law enforcement. So I wanted to see kind of where everybody was as we get into the end of the year. But one thing that continually comes up is people asking the question, you know, what do I do with private security? A lot of people really do enjoy the job. And there's a lot of aspects to private security that are very, very beneficial, that are very positive. I liken it to being a nurse. People often ask nurses, listen, you're in the medical field, you're doing the lion's share of the work, you're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis. You've already put in, you know, some nurses put in 2 years, some nurses put in 4. If you're like a nurse practitioner, you probably got 6 years of experience. They're like, why not just get the medical degree and become a doctor? The one thing that I hear from nurses the most is that, number one, they don't want that level of responsibility. And number two, they have a direct interaction with the patient. If you talk to a nurse, someone who's been nursing for, you know, 10, 15, 20 years, generally what they say is that their interaction with the client or the patient is more direct. It's more hands-on. It's more person to person. And I don't want to say intimate because that's not necessarily the right word, but there's a level of connection that's there with the nurse and the patient as opposed to the doctor and the patient. You know, the doctor comes in, they make their assessment. The person that does 90% of the interacting with that person while you're in the hospital is a nurse. I feel like that's kind of similar to working in private security. Regardless of what you feel about private security, there is a much needed aspect of what we do. And there's a beauty to the fact that we're literally there at the scene when these people need us. So the question that a lot of people bring up is, how can I grow or advance when there's no real training or career path? If you were to ask, you know, 30 different private security guards what their training was like, you're going to probably get 30 different answers. If you were to ask 30 different private security guards what their career path is, how they're going to advance, what they're going to advance to, how they're going to get there, you're going to probably get 30 different answers. This, to me, is probably the biggest detriment to our community. There's no one way to do anything. There's no right way to do anything. There's no clear path to get from point A to point B. How do you go from, you know, making $15 to $17 an hour to getting these jobs where you're making 6 figures? How do you get a job where you're working overseas? How do you get a job where you're here stateside and you're doing something that's meaningful? You're doing something that's really contributing to the fabric of society. You really don't have a clear path on how to get from point A to point B. And this is probably one of the biggest issues that I see in private security. So I do want to talk about my thoughts on this topic and give you guys my opinion. I'm going into my 5th year in working private security here in Portland. I can't stress to you guys enough, if you watch my videos from anywhere in the country, if you watch my videos from anywhere around the world, Portland is a separate animal. It's a different experience in private security than a lot of places. I'm not going to say that it's different than everywhere, but it's definitely a different animal here as opposed to a lot of other places where I've been. The focus on private security companies, private security guards, the usage of private security in everything from protecting our mayor and our dignitaries to, working in retail environments to actually doing the lion's share of interacting with the homeless community and the drug addicted community. Private security is a booming industry here in Portland, and you can make a very good living and you can have a lot of interaction with people and a lot of action. So when I talk about things from my perspective, it might not be what you're experiencing where you are, but it's applicable. Okay. So I'm going to give you 4 or 5 things that I want you guys to think about. If you're in private security right now and you've made the decision, at least up to this point, that you want to stay in private security. Okay. That you somehow have found some benefit to what you're doing, but you're on the fence because, like I've said, there's just no clear path on how to get better. There's no clear understanding of what you can be doing in the next 5 to 10 years and how you're going to get there. Let me give you some thoughts that I have. Take this information with a grain of salt, utilize it if it works for you. Fucking don't listen to it if you don't want to, but I really tried to rack my brain as to how can someone who's working in our industry right now and just is lost, how can they find any benefit in what they're doing? So in no particular order, okay? Number 1, use security as a starting point. I think that most people, this is what they do with private security. If you're have the thought or the idea of becoming a law enforcement officer, if that's not an option to you right off the bat, most people say, look, I'm going to get into private security. I'm going to work in this environment, whether that's retail, whether that's, warehouse security, where that's working in a car lot somewhere, in some aspect of security. It puts you in a uniform. In some situations and circumstances, it puts you in a position where you're working armed and you're getting that experience. Are you out on the street? Are you chasing down bad guys? No, but you're getting a taste of what it's like to be in that environment. Most people utilize private security in this way. So view this role as a stepping stone, and the experience that you gain can now open doors to higher positions or new fields in security and law enforcement. Whatever you're doing, if you're working in this capacity where you're with these companies that aren't teaching you anything, they're not showing you anything, they're not investing in you in any sort of way, just look at your immediate surroundings, the people that you come in contact with on a daily basis, whether that's the people that own the contract, whether that's law enforcement officers that you interact with on a daily basis or weekly basis, whether that's people that are coming to and from the location where you're working, it puts you in a position to network. You don't have to be taught or trained or poured into to understand the value of networking. Your conversations with people, your ability to present yourself in a positive manner, your ability to do your job diligently, even if it's very mundane and it's very boring. If your job is just to shake and rattle the door to make sure it's locked, shake and rattle the door and make sure it's locked. If your job is to annotate how many times you walk around the building and make sure that there's no one on the property, do that to the best of your ability. But utilize your opportunity with every person that you talk to, that you interact with, that you have an interaction with. Just use that to open your doors to networking. And trust me, guys, this is one of the most underutilized skill in all of society is networking. More than likely, your ability to get hired on with a law enforcement agency, your ability to get a better paying job, your ability to have someone to back you in a business, it's going to come from networking more than anything else you do. So just see this as a starting point for your future job somewhere down the road. Okay. Number 2, Gain communication experience. The amount of people who are not good communicators that I run into in every aspect of society is outlandish to me. People that can't verbally communicate, people that can't write solid reports, people that just are unable to get their point across. Communication is huge. Right now, with everything that you're seeing with the election, I'm not going to go down a political rant here, but everything that you're seeing with the election and how they have completely flipped and changed people's perception, not mine or yours probably, but a lot of people's perception of Kamala Harris, it all comes down to communication. The message that they are presenting about who she is and what she can do and all of the things that she's going to do when she comes into office that, you know, she's been there for the past 3.5 years and haven't happened. Sorry, had to get that out there. That's all about communication, right? Every interaction helps hone your communication skills, which are crucial in any career. Mastering this now will set you apart in future roles. Guys, I'm going to share something with you. I work in private security just like everybody else that follows this channel, right? I'm a security guard. I am a security guard that works in a retail establishment. 99.9% of the time that I am at my store, I'm standing at a door, greeting customers, helping them find a basket, telling them where the bathroom is, showing them where they can find the olives, very small, mundane shit like that, checking receipts, right? That's the job that I do. 1% of the time, I'm dealing with crackheads, someone screaming, someone having an overdose, situations where I've responded to someone who's had their head blown off in the parking lot. That's 1% of what I do. But working in that environment, in that very mundane job, doing very simple tasks every day for 12 to 16 hours, I've parlayed that into multiple appearances on national television. It's put me in a position to talk to very famous people that you guys see on a weekly basis on YouTube, right? It's put me in a position to travel. It's put me in a position to, you know, go to FBI briefings, to be a part of all kinds of projects and cool shit. Why? I'm no different than anybody else. I'm no better. I'm no more trained. I'm no more in a better position than anyone else. How have I been able to parlay that and put myself into a situation where I'm requested? When our hours get cut, people call and ask to make sure that I'm still on that site. I know all of these influential and famous people here in Portland. How am I able to do that? It's communication. It's how I sell myself. It's how I sell the industry of private security. The way that I talk about private security, the way that I talk about what we do, the way that I talk about the benefit that we bring to society, it's 180 degrees different than most people's view of private security. But my ability to articulate that, it opens doors. I have said this and I will continue to say this. Communication is like magic. That's literally what abracadabra means. Abracadabra means at the sound of my voice. I'm able to parlay the things that I say into all kinds of opportunities. Guys, if you truly lean into communication, becoming a better communicator by your voice, by what you write, by what you create, it will completely change your life and open all kinds of doors. Okay. Number 3 is going to be, it gives you the opportunity to learn human behavior and social dynamics. Your job offers a front row seat to human behavior. Understanding how people think and act is a valuable skill in any professional path. Every day you're standing at your post and you're watching. What are you watching? You're watching how managers interact with their employees. You're watching how employees interact with management. You're watching how employees interact with customers. You're watching how people interact in general. You're watching how people interact when they are shoplifting, when they're doing nefarious things, how drug addicts carry themselves, how homeless people carry themselves. That ability to understand that, to be able to articulate that, what can you do with that? You can teach your kids, you can teach your wife, you can teach your family. things to look out for, tells on when someone is going to do something, where to park in a shopping center, right? What time to go to the shopping center, which way to walk, all of the things that come with our environment and what we learn working in private security. We are social dynamic and human interaction professors. By the time you've put in 2 years in private security, you understand how people tick and you understand how people think. And no matter what you do, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, in any aspect of business, any aspect of employment, you're able to parlay that into a great ability to be better at whatever it is that you do, right? Social dynamics and human interaction, very important. Number 4, I think this is number 4. I'm horrible at keeping count, right? More important than anything, you're able to pay your fucking bills, right? This job helps you pay your bills and maintain financial stability. Use this time to plan your next steps without the pressure of immediate unemployment. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but you're not supposed to be unemployed and living off of government assistance. I know this is a very novel idea here in Portland, and it's an extremely novel idea for people who tend to vote Democrat. I know. Having a job, paying your bills, being responsible for your own upkeep, highly irregular. But for those of you who are old school, right, and who understand that it is your job to provide for yourself and provide for your family, if you're employed, that's a good thing. I don't care if you're digging a ditch, if you're picking up leaves. I don't care if you are working as a gardener. It's a job. And we need to get back to a point in society as men where we respect the fact that we're taking care of our families and we're providing for our loved ones. I don't know when that became a negative thing, right? So regardless of what you're doing, regardless of how you're making your money, if it's legal, if you're doing it in a way that is not a harm or a nuisance to anybody else, you should be proud of yourself because you're living your life the way that you should, based on the reality of what it means to be a man and what it means to be an adult. You're paying your bills. You have a job. You're paying your bills. You're taking care of yourself. And that's the way that it should be. If you're doing that as a security guard, there's nothing to look down on. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You're paying your bills and you're taking care of yourself. The last thing that I'm going to say is that it's worthy. Listen, guys, your presence is essential to maintaining safety and order. You protect lives and property every single effing day. And that responsibility deserves recognition and respect. I don't know if you guys have been on my community tab today, but this week, the 3rd week of September, is recognized as a week of appreciation for private security guards. I think that's amazing. Like, we should be appreciated. More people should thank us for what we do. At the end of the day, it's not about thanks. It's not about whether people appreciate what we do or not. We're going to do it. It's a job that needs to be done, but it is awesome to know that there is an actual week for us to be recognized. So I want each and every one of you on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your Instagram, somewhere on social media, put that post that I have on my community page on your page, copy it. Put your own picture up. Put a picture of a random security guard. Start to spread awareness that this is a week of appreciation for what we do. At the end of the day, if we in our industry don't take pride in what we do, and if we're being honest, the vast majority of us do not take pride in what we do, we can't expect anybody else to. There's a couple of other topics I'm going to be making videos about. There's a couple of other things I'm going to bring up. And some of these things are going to be painful for you guys to think about because a lot of you are guilty of it. But right now, the one thing that I want you to think about, am I taking my job? Am I taking pride in what I do? Am I taking pride in what I bring to the table? The fact that where you work at that moment in time, if something were to pop off, you're the person that's going to be there to stand in between the people that are there to do their job and the fucking dirtbag that's coming in to do harm. That is something that you should be vehemently proud of. You have to take pride in what you do. You have to take pride in your profession. And if we don't do it, no one ever will. And when it comes to training, when it comes to advocating for more money for us, when it comes to being seen as a first responder as opposed to just an employee, That all comes from people's vision and view of what we do and what we bring to the table. No one on the outside is going to advocate for private security. And I'm going to be very honest with you. The companies are not going to advocate for the security guards. The client is not going to advocate for private security guards. It is up to us to take it upon ourselves to say that we matter, that what we bring to the table matters, and that we deserve to be appreciated and recognized. But that starts with us. All right, guys, I'm going to check your comments off of the stream just so I don't interrupt what we're doing here. As always, if you have made it this far and you've continued to listen to me rant and ramble, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you. At the end of the day, there is no platform here without you guys watching these videos, communicating with me, and keeping this community alive. I appreciate what you're doing. If you're working today, please be careful. Keep your head on a swivel. Watch your back. Always watch your six. And remember, be great. Okay? You guys have a great day. Take care.